So my brother Dyke, he told me the other day that he was up at the Mount Carberry landfill up in Berlin, and Tim, the operator, said, "Hey, aren't you a mossback? A Randolph mossback?" And that's right, we were the mossbacks. And Dyke's story just brought back memories for all of us, and specifically for me. It took me back to the 9th inning of the Gorham Softball League Championship game in 1979, when we were tied with perennial champion Gorham Hardware. Now, many of you know that Randolph was home to the finest softball team ever to come out of this valley. And this is my version of that legend of the Randolph Mossbacks. It's mine because I went out and talked to 18 other people who were either on the team or fans of teams or others, and we just could not get any agreement on the basic facts. It was 45 years ago. Here is the one photo that we have of the team. I mean, look at these guys. That's Ron Krulo, me, Dick Bean, Peter Rowan, Dyke, Jim Tyler, Davis Woodruff, and the bottom row, Will Woodruff, Rob King, Dwight Bradley, Petter Weiss, and Jeff Bean. I mean, take a look at that. I guess you really. And so in the 60s and 70s, most of my young friends and their families would spend every summer Sunday afternoon playing Sunday softball at the Hortons Field in the valley. There was no better way of getting out all the pent-up energy from being held captive at the morning church services. And there was no better reason for Grey Dog and Crank Camp caretakers to run down the mountain than to play softball and get back up in time for dinner. Now, as we got into our teens and early 20s, we were pretty proud that we were able to hit the ball sometimes into the woods and handle the crazy hops of a fast ground ball off the bumps and the rocks of the Horton Field. And Dwight and Will got together, and they decided that a bunch of us were ready for the next level, for the Gorham Softball League. So we formed a team with most of the folks in this picture, plus Bill Rising, John Scarenza, Rob Bolash, Chris Ulmer from Jefferson, and guest appearances by Ted May, by Mike Wysession, and a bunch of others. It was Dwight that chose the name Mossbacks. It was a nicely quirky name. It was as distinctive as Randolph itself. It gently twinked all the naysayers. He enjoyed the reference to the extremely slow-moving old sea turtles with moss growing on them. And he did find it a little unfortunate, though, that the term also references draft dodgers in the Confederate Army. Our first exhibition game in Gorham was in 1976. We were just blown off the field. We were just no good at all. Chris Lubber remembers standing in deep left field when one of our opponents hit a ball that went 30 feet over his head out to the kiosk in the middle of the park. By the time Chris threw the ball back in, the guy was sitting on the bench drinking water. we were encouraged by that game, and we joined the league that following year, and we immediately lost all the first 12 games that we had. We were really terrible. I mean, we were not the Bad News Bears. We were the mostly miserable Mossbacks. I mean, this was serious. We had to sit down. We had to open up a bunch of beers. We had to talk through all this. And we decided, after a bunch of time, that the only things we really lacked were uniforms, fans, and post-game parties. So Dwight reached out to Vivian Scarenza at the Grandview and asked if she'd like to sponsor the best softball team in Randolph. Shockingly, she's running a little place right here. Shockingly, she said yes, and we received these gorgeous uniforms. I mean, take a look at these. They're just this is Peter Rowan's uniform. If you go by to his house, he'll model it for you. He may be the only one of us left that still has the uniform around, but it was very impressive. We also found there was just so much enthusiasm for this team from our families and from some of the younger women in Randolph. In fact, let me just ask everybody here, Who has ever either gone to a Mossbacks game, gone to an after party, been part of the Mossbacks in any way? Come on. I mean, take a look around. This is quite a few people who are part of this. There was an informal group of Mossback fanatics who would attend most games. Many were younger sisters of the players, along with some of their friends. Sarah, Lisa, Charlotte, Susan Scarenza were all core members. Jeff Scarenza, John's little brother, loved the games, and he was so mad at us that at age 7, we wouldn't let him play. There are completely unverified rumors that some of this group of fanatics would occasionally get ready for the games after the work as lifeguards, with showers in the Ravine House pool dam overflow, followed by reapplication of makeup using a broken off rear view mirror that was passed around in Charlotte's car, Duke. You're gonna have to talk to someone that. We do know that a few of the fanatics are currently married to former Mossbacks. The post-game parties were just legendary. Alcohol-filled watermelons on the hill, along with hitting golf balls in the woods for Dwight's dog Rhubarb to find, 8-track tapes and beers at our house, and cleanliness-focused late evening skinny dipping. Our problem solving those 3 issues worked. By 1978, we started to beat some of the teams in Gorham, and the team was changing with jobs and college getting in the way. Rob Bolash concluded one year that there might not be a Mossbacks team, so he started Red's Auto Body and took John Scarenza and Rick King with him. Being part of the Mossbacks was absolutely living the dream, but it took real commitments to live up to that dream. One year, Lynn and I were driving down to Virginia for a vacation with the first stop in Algonquin. Lynn was just so supportive when I explained we had to go back to Gorham for a couple-hour game before continuing on our journey. Both Dyke and Dwight drove across the country to be able to play. Okay, but by 1979, by this team right here, we jumped up to second place with a 14-4 record. It was an amazing year. We made it to the championship game and had to face the perennial champion, the dreaded, horrible Gorham Hardware team. Once again, we had to change the dynamic. 2 minutes before the start of the game, both Gorham Hardware and the umpires thought that Gorham Hardware was about to win by forfeit because there were no Mossbacks on the scene. We had talked Gordon Lowe into loaning us the Randolph school bus. We warmed up in secret on the cemetery field and jumped in the bus filled with Mossbacks and Mossbacks fanatics. We arrived 2 minutes before the game time. Our fans were screaming. We had Joan Rising and Barbara Weissession playing instruments on the sidelines. We ran out of the field, circling the pitching mound, doing jumping jacks, and the umpire immediately said, "Play ball." It was a classic back and forth one-run game. Fish and game legend Buzz Bickford was so mad that we intentionally walked him that he started swinging at pitches that were 6 feet away from him, just hoping we'd make a mistake. We were tied with 2 outs in the 9th inning. Dwight was on second base, and Davis, not our strongest hitter, was at bat. He delivered the tie-breaking single, allowing Dwight to score. We won the game. Gorham, softball league champions. It was just that. Wait, come on. It was just. We kept playing for several more years, but by 1985, so many teams had been disbanded that the softball league did end. Most of the Mossbacks still frequent the area, although a few, Davis Woodruff, Dick Bean, and John Scarenza, have sadly moved on to a place where they've regained their youthful speed and their powerful bats. Dyke says that when Tim, the Mount Carberry landfill operator, asked about being a Mossback, Dyke was pretty sure that he was going to just fill him up with compliments about the team. But it turned out that all Tim wanted to talk about were the amazing post-game Randolph parties and those stunning Mossback fanatics.